Hi guys, welcome back to INFP. Today we are talking about the ENFP-INTP relationship. Before we get started, comment, like, and subscribe, and let's do this. So ENFP and INTP both value humor. ENFP and INTP both appreciate leisure time. And it stops there. No, I'm just kidding. So this video is not going to be as jolly as the ENTP-INFP video. I don't know if you would call any of my videos jolly. This video is a grind. To me, INTPs and ENFPs are very contrasting in their views on what a balanced relationship is. In fact, isn't the INTP, they are one letter away from being opposing. So like the opposing type to the INTP is ESFP. The opposing type to the ENFP is ISTP. They are almost opposing, they just have both are NPs. So it kind of makes sense when you look at it that way. I'm an INFJ. So if I look across at the ENTJ, my opposing type is ESTJ. So the ENTJ is just one letter away from being opposing to me. So when I see ENTJs, we have introverted intuition in common, we have goals, we have ideals. Sometimes I perceive the ENTJ as maybe being too results-oriented in that they can put pressure on people to get it done now. I'm sure the ENTJ may see me as not making any results, as not being productive or contributing at all. Well, no, they don't see me that way, but they see the slow-moving nature of extroverted feeling compared to the extroverted thinking efficiency. So yes, like the NJs can see each other, like the ENFJ and ENTJ, the ENFJ and the INTJ. The ENFJ can see the INTJ maybe as too cold, and the INTJ can see the ENFJ as having too much bravado. So this is very possible. Yes, and in the INFP ENTP video, I did talk a lot. Much of the video was about how those types clashed. So this video, we're grinding through it. No type is perfect. No type is completely at fault. This is a hard video, ENTP, INFP. ENTP and INFP are both basically intentional and focused on the people they are in relationships with. Although different cognitive functions, they both have a capacity to quote-unquote accept their differences. INTP and ENFP also have to accept their differences, but whereas INFP and ENTP are already halfway there to accept each other, INTP and ENFP seem not as close to accepting each other. ENFP are big on commonality and accessibility. ENFPs have many projects. What do I mean by this? ENFPs, basically, my perception of ENFP, if you want to get to know them, you kind of need a common group with them. You need to be at their job. You need to live in their dorm. You have to be their roommate. You have to go to their church. You have to be in their band. You have to be in their choir. You have to be on their sports team. ENFPs have all these priorities, and so they like to pick up relationships where they're convenient in those priorities. ENFPs can be popular. They can gather a lot of, they could gather a following, they could gather a lot of friends, whatever have you. The INTP, every relationship to the INFP that is more than surface level is special. So, like if the ENFP has all these friends, and let's say 7 of them baked a cake, 1 is from the INTP. To the ENFP, it's 1 of 7 cakes. To the INTP, that cake means something about their relationship, and it's very important. For me as an INFJ, I've always cooked for people. I cook for my friends, I cook for my family. I've always done it. I'm not a great chef, but like I do it as like a nice gesture, and I'm not fully like putting myself worth on if they like it. Now it depends how hard I work on it, but like most of the time, if they snuff it, I'm like, oh, that was rude, or I'm like, okay, but it doesn't fully rock my relationship with that person. TPs, ESTPs, ENTPs, INTPs, and ISTPs, low extroverted feeling, they're using, that cake is extroverted feeling. And so they are giving you something, and by George, you better appreciate it or you're in trouble. No, but like seriously, this is, so you can see naturally how this is set up. The ENFP gets 7 cakes all the time, and the INTP is wanting to know if the ENFP really cares about their cake. So this is like a big deal to the INTP. I like this in INTP, and I'm not here to say like, oh, ENFPs spread themselves too thin and have and need to manage their priorities better. I'm not saying that ENFPs need to get on the INTP's level. This relationship just requires growth and communication like any relationship. So yes, you can see these types are set up to contrast each other. Doesn't matter that they're both intuitives. Doesn't matter that they have extroverted intuition. ENFP, yes, so INFP are very sensitive to how you prioritize them. ENFP can at times struggle with priority management if they are undeveloped. ENTP are big about delving into their own hobbies and intellectual pursuits. I've been on many a hangout or a date with an INTP or ISTP, and I know I'm with an ITP because we were eating Chinese food, but now I am learning about sociology, or I am learning about cells, or I am learning about machinery. I am now in a class and I find myself searching for a pen and paper. INTPs enjoy that relationship. They just want to, they like trick you into coming to their party and then it's a class, right? I think it's kind of nice. I trust around an INTP that I will eventually warm them up and loosen them up because I'm an INFJ, and that generally is what happens around INTPs, is that INFJs loosen up INFJs loosen up INTPs. Yes, so many letters, my goodness. INTP are severely subtyped. So can you imagine an ENFP who is so fun-loving, so fly by the seat of their pants, does not like to intellectually unpack things, hanging out with someone who's constantly giving them a class? They don't like FE lectures. They don't like FE advice. So how are they going to then, right, how is that going to work where the ENFP wants to have fun and the INTP wants to teach them about research, right? Not that it's impossible, but like if you look where the MBTI types are overall groups. So many times this probably works, but many times I could see it clashing, right? So INTP are severely subtyped. A subtype is when the individuals of the same personality type lean toward either the dominant function or the auxiliary function. So INTP and E subtypes are all about memes, which ENFPs have in common, debates, and trolling. This subtype is more open to conflict than the TI subtype. So this is where you get more contrast between the ENFP and the INTP, is that the INTP is huge debaters. They like to troll. They like to argue. They like intellectually debating and deconstructing. ENFPs can be bothered with arguing and stuff. ENFPs want to talk about the person they have a crush on this week. Not so much about debating all of these researches and studies and why, like, on different topics, right? And so this can be a big deal. And like the INTP, they argue and debate, and if that leads to conflict to the INTP, it leads to conflict. To the INFJ, if I'm debating someone, I can sense it getting escalated, I might tone it down. To the INTP, they do not tone it down, they might tone it up, because right? So, right. Remember, INTPs love ESTJs. ESTJs also like to debate and argue and fight, right? So, if you're on the debate team, this is your sign. Yes, ENFPs don't love intellectual debating. Well, they can, but I'm looking at like overall, intellectually deconstructing things all the time versus talking about the person they have a crush on. That's what I see ENFPs of. ENFPs as. So INTP, let's move on to the TI subtype. INTP TI subtype are all about intellectual pursuits and SI image. This subtype may be slightly less conflict provoking and may also be more rigid in their views. So this subtype I enjoy all INTPs, but this subtype can be nice. They can be really rigid, which neither of these, okay, so the NE subtype is more debatey. The SI subtype is still going to be super sensitive to you receiving their gestures. They are still like, they can be very like formal. They can be, the commonality with the SI subtype might be in the groups, because the SI likes that group too, and the ENFP extroverted thinking also likes that group. So both subtypes look for loyal companions. Both types can be very critical. ENFPs always have many irons in the fire and don't like confrontation. To ENFPs, confrontation is something that they could be bothered with. ENFPs engage in like lower stakes conflict in the form of actively avoiding people they don't like. So this is where you really get into this. I mean, it just is so, it's so prevalent that these two personality types would run into an area where they would have conflict. Because ENFP, what do they do? If an ENFP wants to stop having a relationship with you, they will like dip out. They're not, there's no, you don't know that the ENFP doesn't want to be your friend anymore. They just stop showing up, or they always have an excuse. They don't want to be bothered by the conflict. So, right, I know, and I'm not bashing ENFPs, I hope, but like these things that ENFP does work in a lot of situations. But when you have someone with super low extroverted feeling, it's not going to really fly. Then we get into yes, so can you imagine the INTP being the most sensitive extroverted feeling type in a partnership with someone or friendship where the ENFP maybe needs to prioritize better, and then when the relationship is over, the ENFP becomes less and less available to the INTP. That would be very triggering to the INTP's low extroverted feeling. That pattern in ENFPs can bother any personality type, right? So this is not just a bashing ENFP video though, because who's next? The INTP. The NE clash. The same cognitive function can clash with itself? Sure can. So INTPs are not known for being super bubbly. While they are natural comedians, they can at times resent charismatic people. This is with low extroverted feeling. Same with like extroverted judging could be synonymous with a level of charisma, with a level of public speaking, with a level of group leadership. INTPs can see the problem with this. Remember, they don't like institutionalized school. They don't like groups that take away their individuality. And so who is the main person they might think is taking away their individuality? The leader, the charismatic person to the IP. And INTPs are aware that many people at times can abuse their own charisma. Maybe ENFPs have charisma. Maybe ENFPs at times are not always on it with their charisma. But what I've seen is the INTP resenting the ENFP for their bubbly charisma, for their ability to be friends with them, to be friends with everyone. And this can be a very, like I think I said in another video, I made an ENFP video. People target ENFPs. Not only, they don't love conflict, they're bubbly, they're nice. And so this is where the INTP can run into trouble in resenting the charisma, being jealous of the charisma the ENFP has. So, right, it's not just, right, I'm not taking either type side. This is a really hard thing for the INTP to deal with. INTPs can resent anyone who ticks that box for them. If they kind of have to look inside themselves, the same way INFJs, we have to consider how colorful we want to be, because the INFJ is can be bland. We kind of have to open our mind to seeing beyond a surface bravado. The INTP has to open their mind to seeing beyond a charismatic bravado. So this is a hard thing. And so yes, I told y'all this video was going to be a grind. So yes, INTP have to use, and also the INTP have to use their own charisma at times. Charisma, from my perspective, charisma is not only group leading, it's also just outgoingness, friendliness, and so INTP have to invoke charisma. They have to use some of their feeling functions. FE and FI can help to relieve emotional weight so that introverted thinking in the INTP does not have to catalog and file everything. Sometimes you need to feel it in yourself, sometimes you need to feel it in another person. In the same way that the ENFP can develop their extroverted thinking and their introverted sensing to prioritize and to do more chores, the INTP can also develop in their feeling functions. So ENFPs can be very good therapists, they can be very objective, they can be very good listeners. ENFPs are very empathetic in the relationships they show up in. Maybe that might be why they spread themselves thin. Maybe that empathy can be a little hard to manage. And so INTPs can be very validating and ungaslighting. I think on my old channel I had a video about introverted thinking validation. So yes, I love both of these personality types. I can see how they would get on each other's nerves. Please refute all of my claims in the comments. Make your own video refuting me. So yes, this is my view on these two personality types. I hope y'all enjoy this, and I hope, again, like, these two personality types have a great capacity to learn from one another. So I hope y'all like this video, and I'll see y'all next time.